Today we're at Rice Creek over by the city of Dundas in Minnesota, and Rice Creek is unique for us with the DNR. We manage fisheries. This one's unique in that it's our only brook trout stream in our area.
In a brook trout stream, it's really important to have the right substrate because brook trout require a cobbly, gravelly substrate in order to reproduce. And if you don't have that type of a substrate, and let's say it gets silted in by fine sediments that come from the watershed due to poor land use practices, that can really negatively impact our brook trout.
Things like cover crops, riparian buffers, minimal tillage, or other types of agricultural practices that don't require tillage at all. Those are all good practices that can help this stream.
So one of the things that we're sort of curious about here is really thinking about how does management change on the landscape impact water quality and water quality indicators in particular.
And we're working on pulling water samples from a whole series of tile lines that run through this system, this waterway system that's called Ditch 22 that feeds into a trout stream here in Rice County called Rice Creek. There was 6.8 inches of rain that was registered by the farmers that live right here, and this entire system was completely full. A lot of field flooding, a lot of ponding in some of the fields, and we have some really good evidence about how fields that were planted with cover crops and no-till has really held that soil into place, and then some continued lengthy ponding on fields where there's been a lot of tillage that take place. And we're standing out here on two of their fields where they have been planting cover crops and doing a lot of no-till and strip-till cropping systems.
The worm middlings, these are these little mounds right here. Look at the earthworm holes. These are all earthworm holes here. Look at the amount of hair roots throughout. And when you break it apart, it almost sounds like Velcro. It's got hair roots holding it together. And that's what helps hold the soil when you get those big rains. And then all these holes, of course, is your infiltration.
You want to talk a little bit about the amount of residue that you see on this surface?
I like to leave as much stand up as I can, and then I just plant soybeans either right next to the row or in between the row. And boy, that corn stubble has just been a non-issue because it gets so rotten. Some of it's still standing, the bean head cuts it off, and it actually goes through when we're combining beans. There's just not much left of anything here. The earthworms really devour it. And look at how dry it is.
And look at this soil.
Actually, I was off on that. John said 6 something. I had 5.5 up
okay,
there I just broke one open.
6.8 inches of rain here.
Look at that. If you till your ground, I've actually got a shovelful in my pickup. I can show you. We'll take a shovelful down there and show the difference. I just wanted to show the difference between, so that's ground that's, like I said, was no-till since 2013. And this is full tillage, but you see the way it comes apart. It doesn't flake apart, it snaps apart. And it's just, it's tighter because of the, see, it just, that's the difference you're looking for, is how this just crumbles and this snaps. It doesn't, yeah. So it won't, you know, how do you get water through that, see? You can't hardly get it apart, so the water's not going to go through it either. And then you take that and it just, that's the difference. I'm not trying to, I just want to illustrate the difference. But, you know.
We're collecting macroinvertebrates, and they are indicators of stream health. So they serve as food for fish, And if we have a good diversity of macroinvertebrates, then we say the stream is relatively healthy.
In 2017, before the work started here and focused work started here in the Rice Creek watershed, about 5% of land was in cover crops. Now in 2020, there's about 30%. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when landowners are learning and paying attention and want to evolve things, and that's what's happening here. It's an exciting thing, and it's a model for a lot of other communities.
One of the things that excites us about this project, I think, is the potential not only for me to see chemical changes here in terms of the nutrient loads, but also for the two of us to observe biological changes.
And I also say that it's an opportunity to educate our students.
We've got lots of students who don't really know what commodity crop farming is really about, what it's like, what those practices are, how we have some farmers that are really thinking about holistically in a systematic way.
Because of the progress that's been made here in this watershed, it's expanding to some other nearby watersheds, and the Township Board is enthused about offering some funding as well.
This brook trout population is unique in our management area with the DNR in that it's the only one that we have.
I don't see myself ever going back to tillage. I know I will always plant something for a cover crop in the fall.
I know I'll never go back to conventional tillage.